Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Prambanan temple complex in Yogyakarta before concluding his three-day visit to Indonesia. India to help conserve the Hindu temple complex, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Prime Minister Modi to visit Melbourne to hold bilateral talks with Australian Prime Minister Albanese. Defence, trade and investment on agenda. Visit aims to strengthen comprehensive strategic partnership between two nations. US launches fresh strikes on Iran after reinstating oil sanctions over vessel attacks in Hormuz. Tehran says attacks violate agreed MOU, warns of decisive action. Argentina keeps FIFA World Cup title defense alive with a stellar 3-2 win over Egypt. Switzerland beat Colombia on penalties to book quarter-final berth. And on to the details now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit the historic Prambanan temple on Wednesday, where India and Indonesia are launching a collaborative initiative to conserve Southeast Asia's second-largest Hindu temple complex. The visit reflects not only the growing strategic partnership between the two countries, but also the enduring civilizational links which have connected them for centuries. DD India's Siddharth Bharadwaj reports for more.
We are at the Prambanan temple complex, the largest Hindu temple complex in Indonesia, and a powerful symbol of the centuries-old cultural ties between India and Indonesia. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to visit this UNESCO World Heritage Site, a visit that is expected to strengthen the cultural ties between India and Indonesia.
These walls of stone, the intricate carvings, tell stories of faith, history, culture, and architectural excellence. This is the Prambanan Temple Complex, the largest Hindu temple complex in Indonesia. Built in the 9th century, it is today recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The main Prambanan complex is dedicated to the Hindu Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Its walls are adorned with intricate reliefs depicting episodes from the Ramayana, reflecting the centuries-old cultural links between India and Indonesia.
This temple is unique. Why? Because they make the temple in the 9th century, no cement, no glue. Because the system of the building is interlocking system. It means every single stone has rock, has a key, and one key matches only for one. And this temple unique because this temple for Shiva, but they made Brahma and Vishnu together. And Prambanan temple until right now still using to pray, yeah, because it is active temple to pray 3 times usually a day, morning, at noon, and then evening.
Centuries of earthquakes, natural weathering, and the passage of time have left their mark on these monuments, underscoring the importance of continued conservation to preserve this remarkable cultural heritage for future generations.
In Indonesia, the main place of engagement is the capital, Jakarta, but the Prime Minister will also be visiting the cultural center or historic city of Yogyakarta, where he will go to the Prambanan temple complex, where India is planning to work with Indonesia for the, which is, by the way, a World Heritage Site designated by UNESCO. So India and Indonesia will be collaborating on the conservation work there.
During Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit, India and Indonesia are set to launch a collaboration on conservation work at the Prambanan temple complex. Beyond preserving an ancient monument, the initiative reflects the two countries' shared commitment to protecting a cultural heritage that continues to connect their peoples.
Prambanan stands as a reminder of a shared cultural heritage that continues to strengthen ties between India and Indonesia. And as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to visit Prambanan, the monument is once again into focus. Not because it's Indonesia's most significant cultural landmark, but also a powerful symbol of the enduring cultural links between India and Indonesia. With camera person Kuldeep and Ashish, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India from Prambanan Temple Complex, Central Java, Indonesia.
Well, Prambanan is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. It's a tourist destination which also draws in pilgrims and historians. The monumental heritage has made it Indonesia's most visited and iconic attractions.
For many visitors, Prambanan is much more than an ancient monument. From its towering structures, to intricate stone carvings, to its rich history and cultural significance, the complex continues to attract visitors from all across the world.
Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Prambanan is among Indonesia's most visited cultural attractions. Every year, tourists, history enthusiasts and devotees come here to experience one of Southeast Asia's finest examples of Hindu temple architecture. Visitors are drawn not only by the towering temples, but also by the intricate reliefs depicting scenes from the Ramayana. The monument offers a glimpse into the rich Hindu-Buddhist heritage of ancient Java, while showcasing remarkable craftsmanship that has endured for centuries.
Oh, this is an amazing construction. It's so nice to see so many parallels between the Indian culture and the culture that has been brought over here. So many parallels between the construction of Hindu temples in India versus the temples here. Very, very proud to be Indian in this spot right now, and looking forward to having PM Modi here.
It's very impressive to come here and to get the history known, and yeah, it's very interesting for us and inspiring. Yeah,
impressed by the height and the buildings and also the people around who are visiting us. Just like us, we are learning new things.
Construction, the quality of the construction, the time that they have spent on keeping this up to day, and the interest that the locals are showing, it's also very amazing to see.
I think it's maintained so clean here. The cleanliness and the architecture and the similarities between South Indian temples, the gopuras that we have in South India, and the parallels to the construction style here is like astonishing. So yeah, that's what captivated us.
Beyond its historical importance, Prambanan has become a major cultural destination, contributing to tourism in Yogyakarta and introducing visitors from around the world to Indonesia's diverse heritage.
Whether one comes here for history, architecture, photography or spirituality, Prambanan Temple Complex leaves everyone with a deeper appreciation of Indonesia's rich cultural heritage, which of course continues to attract visitors from every corner of the world. With camera person Kuldeep and Ashish, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in Prambanan Temple Complex, Central Java, Indonesia.
Well, Indonesia rolled out the red carpet for Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the second day of his state visit on Tuesday, with a focus on strengthening the strategic partnership. Bilateral talks with President Prabowo Subianto produced 20 outcomes, including cooperation on BrahMos and Astra air-to-air missiles, as well as maritime security. To understand more about this and what Indonesia thinks of it, DD India's Deepika Mehto got in an exclusive conversation with the Tourism Minister of Indonesia, who also spoke about Prime Minister Modi's upcoming visit to Yogyakarta's Prambanan temple. Take a listen.
So Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a lot of engagements here in Indonesia on the second day of his visit to Jakarta. And right now we are joined by the Minister of Tourism. Ma'am, thank you so much for exclusively talking to us.
Very much for visiting Indonesia, and I'm excited that Prime Minister Modi is in Indonesia to visit the President of Indonesia, and also he's going to visit Prambanan Temple, and we will be there to accompany the Prime Minister and the President. And we're excited that Indian tourists are growing in number who visit Indonesia, around 700,000 plus. Just last year they arrived, and we are continuing to increase the connectivity between the two countries from Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore as well. Would like to increase connectivity to Yogyakarta and Jakarta and Bali. And we also have events in Prambanan that maybe Ibu Wamen can talk about the Hindu, because she's also from Bali and she's Hindu, and she created an event, Shiva Ratri event festival in Prambanan. Maybe you can talk about that. We can promote.
Prime Minister and the President will visit Prambanan Temple, and this is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's fourth visit to Indonesia. How do you think, how will this give a new and fresh momentum to the ongoing India-Indonesia bilateral ties?
Yes, Indonesia and India has an MOU in tourism since 2000, and this visit is very special. I think it will boost the visibility of Indonesia and Yogyakarta, Prambanan to the Indian community or visitors. And I think this moment is very important for us.
Indeed. All right. So there you heard from the minister herself, that she says that this moment is very important for the bilateral ties for India and Indonesia. And with the visit to the Prambanan temple, not only the cultural ties will be strengthened, but the bilateral ties between both the nations will take a new shape and form. With camera person Uttam, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Jakarta, Indonesia.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday announced that a campus of India's prestigious Indian Institute of Management, or IIM Bangalore, will be established in Indonesia. This initiative is expected to strengthen educational ties and benefit students and young professionals across the ASEAN region. DD India's Achal Gulati caught up with Indonesia's Vice Minister of Higher Education, Stella Christie. Listen in.
So we are joined by the Vice Minister of Science, Technology and Education of Indonesian government, and let's hear from her the MOUs which have been exchanged between the two governments, how they're going to give impetus to science, technology and education sector. Ma'am, welcome to DD India. How you feel that this visit is going to give impetus to science, technology and innovation with the announcement of setting up IIM in Indonesia?
Yeah, we in Indonesia are really looking to see how India has been quite successful in delivering quality in a large quantity. You know, there are a number of nations that can deliver quality, but they are small nations. Both of our countries are actually faced with the same challenge, that we are really, really big nations. So how do we deliver quality in huge quantity?
That how do you feel that this partnership is going to give a booster dose to innovation and startups, as India is the third unicorn startup ecosystem we are having?
So we face the same challenge of how to make the niche areas so that we can really bring something that is very specific to each of our nations to be really, really good and really compete with so-called like the giants of the science and technology in the world. And I think we can be successful in this if we learn and share from each other. And so we're learning from the Indian companies and industries about the technology itself, while the Indian industries are actually working together with us about what is the most efficient way of really harvesting the seaweed from Indonesia.
How this partnership is going to elevate entrepreneurship in science, technology and innovation.
Yeah, we're thinking about having the same kind of model of investment from industry directly to university research that will benefit the industry themselves. And to do this, I think it will be very exciting to see both industry, Indian industry that need to invest in Indonesia and need labors, high-skilled labors that can be produced directly from Indonesia, and vice versa.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for speaking to DD India. So, when we talk about the bilateral ties, they're going to strengthen in the area of science, technology, and innovation with the technology transfer. With the camera person Uttam, this is Anshul Gulati Gumbar reporting from Jakarta, Indonesia for DD India.
All right, time now for a short break. We'll be back in a while.
This week on Defence Dynamics, India is fast-tracking its next-generation defence shield with new indigenous acquisition, strengthening air defence, counter-drone capabilities and battlefield surveillance. In geopolitics, India and Japan are entering a new strategic phase, transforming their partnership into a pillar of Indo-Pacific security through defence co-development and maritime cooperation. And DRDO's indigenous MP-80GM is set to give Indian infantry a powerful new fire-and-forget tank killer, boosting battlefield lethality and defence self-reliance. All this and much more this Wednesday at 8 PM IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuranan. Moving on, staying with our top story, India and Indonesia held extensive discussions on key range of sectors, including maritime cooperation, people-to-people ties and other development experiences. Addressing a media briefing, Secretary S. Rudrendra Tandon said that the focus now is on the forward-looking agenda.
Several bilateral agreements have been concluded. Focus now was on what the forward-looking agenda will be for our comprehensive partnership across all the 6 main areas that characterize our bilateral relations, starting from security and defense, maritime cooperation, the area of developing the people-to-people civilizational connect, the decision to actively share each other's development experience, because we are both very large countries. Our governments are involved in development work, getting our populations who are, who are afflicted by poverty out and giving them better quality of life. So there was a lot of exchange on that. There was also discussions on how India and Indonesia could collaborate at the international level to strengthen the voice of Global South.
Well, also India and Indonesia reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening maritime security in the Indo-Pacific, renewing cooperation on maritime safety, coastal surveillance, humanitarian assistance, disaster response, pollution control and search and rescue operations.
There was a discussion how we could collaborate in the area of expanding our mutual maritime domain awareness. In this regard, we are very pleased to know that the decision has been taken for Indonesia to place a liaison officer in the Indian Ocean Region Fusion Center in Gurugram in India. There was also discussions on enhancing maritime connectivity.
Well, the special briefing by the Ministry of External Affairs stated that the leaders acknowledged the complementarities between India's Viksit Bharat 2047 vision and Indonesia's Indonesia IMAS 2045 National Development Agenda, expressing confidence that deeper economic integration could unlock significant new opportunities.
The Prime Minister and the President also discussed how to expand our economic collaboration. As you know, for ourselves, currently bilateral trade is at around $25 billion, which doesn't reflect the size of our economies, the size of our markets. So discussions centered around taking forward cooperation in areas such as critical minerals, in joining our innovation ecosystem, in getting our digital infrastructure to collaborate, so that, there was a discussion on how to link our payment systems, our digital payment systems to the Indonesian payment systems. There were discussions on expanding cooperation in the pharmaceutical.
Well, at the briefing, Sandeep Chakravarti, the Indian ambassador to Indonesia, spoke about the proposed IIMB campus in Indonesia, saying it represents a significant step in advancing educational collaboration and supports a shared commitment to developing future-ready leadership talent for the region.
सिंगासारी स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन जो शिक्षा पर डेडिकेटेड है मालांग में ईस्ट जावा में उनके स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन और आईएम बेंगलोर के बीच में कल समझौता हुआ और वो कैंपस शुरू करने वाले हैं बहुत जल्द और ये पहला कैंपस होगा आईएम बेंगलोर का विश्व में और मुझे जितना लगता है कि विश्व में ये दूसरा आईएम का कैंपस है अबू धाबी में कैंपस है और द्वितीय कैंपस यहाँ खुलने वाला है.
While speaking at a special media briefing by the officials of Ministry of External Affairs outlined an ambitious agenda spanning defence-industrial collaboration, reflecting the increasing strategic importance both countries attach to one another.
The discussions on defence and security were fairly significant. Focus on how we can upgrade that to include collaboration between our defence industries. As you know, Indian defence industry have acquired a fair amount of maturity and technological sophistication in certain areas which are of interest to the Indonesian side. So there were discussions on how we could now create the framework within which our defence companies can start collaboration with each other and bring the defence industries closer to each other.
Well, it also highlighted the elevation of defence ties through cooperation on the BrahMos missile system and an air-to-air missile cooperation agreement, signalling growing trust between the two strategic partners.
BrahMos was discussed. It is an important part of the industry-to-industry collaboration that the two leaders are trying to develop, taking our defence cooperation relationship to the next level. However, commercial agreements are not really discussed at the highest levels. Those are left for the companies to sort out. But I can tell you that it is an important area of collaboration, and there were extensive discussions on that.
India and Indonesia to deepen institutional ties through a memorandum of understanding between the election commissions as well.
भारतीय इलेक्शंस को देखने के लिए ऑब्जर्वर के रूप में इंडोनेशियन इलेक्शन कमीशन के कमिश्नर जाते रहे हैं और दोनों में आदान प्रदान रहा है. अभी का जो एमओयू है उसमें हम लोग ये देख रहे हैं कि किस तरीके से इलेक्शन मैनेजमेंट और टेक्नोलॉजी का प्रयोग हो सकता है. तो इसमें काफी रुचि दिखाई गई है इंडोनेशियन साइड से, लेकिन अभी कुछ कहना प्रीमेच्योर है क्योंकि वो टेक्नोलॉजी कोऑपरेशन क्या रूप लेगी वो दोनों इलेक्शन कमीशन मिलकर बैठ के डिसाइड करेगी. लेकिन मुझे लगा काफी ऑप्टिमिस्टिक हूँ, काफी आशावादी हूँ कि ये जो कोऑपरेशन है ये टेक्नोलॉजी के क्षेत्र में काफी आगे बढ़ सकता है.
Also, the Secretary East said that the two leaders exchanged views on amplifying the voice of the Global South and enhancing cooperation in multilateral forums, including the United Nations and BRICS.
There was also discussions on how India and Indonesia could collaborate at the international level to strengthen the voice of Global South, working at the UN, working in new formats like the BRICS, which have become very important in the changing global environment.
Well, as we told you earlier, Prime Minister Modi is visiting the historic Prambanan temple today, where India and Indonesia are launching a collaborative initiative to conserve Southeast Asia's second largest Hindu temple complex. And for more on this, we have DD India's Siddharth Bharadwaj joining us from Yogyakarta. Well, Siddharth, tell us how important is the conservation partnership and what message does it send?
Oh, definitely. A very good morning to you, Lipakshi. I'm at the Prambanan Temple Complex, and it's the largest Hindu temple complex in Indonesia. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site as well, and you mentioned the conservation efforts. Definitely, a project when it comes to the conservation efforts will be announced by both the countries really soon, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting here in some time from now. This is a very, very significant visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as it will certainly strengthen the cultural cooperation between both the countries. Remember, Nipakshi, cultural cooperation forms an important pillar of the bilateral ties between India and Indonesia, and these ties are not new. These ties are, over many centuries old ties, which are certainly strengthening the other aspects of the bilateral ties between India and Indonesia. Right now, I'm standing in front of the Shiva temple. Remember, this Prambanan temple complex is dedicated to the Hindu Trimurti, which is Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva. And behind me is the tallest temple of Lord Shiv, which is approx 47 meters in height. And I'll just show you the viewers that what is the actual feeling when we are standing at the Prambanan temple complex. This in front of you, Lipakshi, is the tallest temple here of Lord Shiva, and what makes this more special is the Ramayana carvings. When you go to the first floor of this temple, you see the Ramayana carvings, which forms an important part of the cultural cooperation between India and Indonesia. So when you go to the first floor and you start from the left, you see panel by panel the scenes from Ramayana, which certainly symbolizes the centuries-old cultural links between India and Indonesia, which will get a new dimension today when Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be here. So for that matter, this conservation effort by both the countries is very, very important, and it shows how important are the cultural ties between both the countries, and it forms an important pillar of the broader bilateral partnership as well.
Right, it's going to be a significant moment indeed. Siddharth, thank you so much for giving us a feel of the temple there. And now from Indonesia, at the invitation of his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Melbourne. He will hold wide-ranging discussions with Prime Minister Albanese, taking forward relations in the areas of defence and security, trade and investments, education and mobility, and people-to-people ties. Well, the visit is expected to further strengthen comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries as well. In Melbourne, Prime Minister Modi will also have the opportunity to interact with the Indian diaspora, which is an important pillar of our strategic partnership. Further, this visit will also provide an opportunity for India and Australia to deepen bilateral ties in the areas of emerging and critical technologies, sports and sports science. Well, from Indonesia, at the invitation of his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Melbourne. He will hold wide-ranging discussions with Prime Minister Albanese, taking forward relations in the areas of defence and security, trade and investments, education and mobility, and people-to-people ties. Well, the visit is expected to further strengthen comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries as well. In Melbourne also, Prime Minister Modi will have the opportunity to interact with the Indian diaspora, which is an important pillar of our strategic partnership. Further, this visit will also provide an opportunity for India and Australia to deepen bilateral ties in the areas of emerging and critical technologies, sports and sports science. And still to come in DD India Newshour. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar reaffirms India-Bahrain strategic partnership during high-level visit to Bahrain. Iraq-Iran leaders attend Khamenei's coffin reception in Najaf ahead of Thursday's burial. And Mumbai returns to normalcy as rain eases, transport services resume. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khuranan. Time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Prambanan Temple Complex in Yogyakarta before concluding his 3-day visit to Indonesia. India to help conserve the Hindu temple complex, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Prime Minister Modi to visit Melbourne to hold bilateral talks with Australian Prime Minister Albanese. Defence, trade and investment on agenda. Visit aims to strengthen comprehensive strategic partnership between two nations. US launches fresh strikes on Iran after reinstating oil sanctions over vessel attacks in Hormuz. Tehran says attacks violate agreed MOU, warns of decisive action. And Argentina keeps FIFA World Cup title defense alive with a stellar 3-2 win over Egypt. Switzerland beat Colombia on penalties to book quarter-final berth. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrived in Kuwait on Tuesday on the third leg of his six-nation visit. In a post on social media, Dr. Jaishankar thanked Kuwait's Deputy Foreign Minister Hamad Suleiman Mashan al-Mashan for the warm welcome on his arrival and said he is looking forward to engagements during his visit to the Gulf nation. Dr. Jaishankar's visit to Kuwait is part of his multi-nation tour covering Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, the United States and Belgium. Well, earlier, Dr. S. Jaishankar visited Bahrain, where he reaffirmed India's commitment to further deepening the long-standing partnership with the Gulf nation. During his 2-day visit, Dr. Jaishankar called on Bahrain's King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa and Deputy Prime Minister Khalid bin Abdullah Al Khalifa. Dr. Jaishankar held bilateral talks with his counterpart, Dr. Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Zayani. The two ministers exchanged views on regional and international developments of mutual interest. External Affairs Minister congratulated Bahrain on its role as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council for 2026 to 2027. Well, India has also underlined the need for a human-centric, inclusive and trustworthy global framework for artificial intelligence governance at UN Global Dialogue. Addressing the high-level plenary of the inaugural United Nations Global Dialogue on AI governance in Geneva on Tuesday, Minister of State for External Affairs Kirtiwardhan Singh said, artificial intelligence governance must be rooted in meaningful human oversight, respect for human rights and international cooperation. He stressed that bridging capacity gaps is essential to enable countries of the Global South to actively participate in global decision-making on AI. He urged the international community to ensure that the benefits of AI are shared equitably and that developing nations have a meaningful role in shaping the technology's future. The minister also described the UN Global Dialogue on AI Governance as a landmark initiative launched by the United Nations General Assembly to provide governments, industry, academia and civil society with a common platform to shape the future of artificial intelligence through collective responsibility.
India firmly believes that responsible AI governance must rest on strong foundational principles, preserving human oversight, upholding human rights, and preventing its misuse. These principles, as reflected in the recent India AI Impact Summit, are essential for ensuring that AI systems work across borders in ways that are ethical, secure, and beneficial to all.
Well, some global updates now. The U.S. military has launched a series of strikes against Iran in response to attacks on 3 commercial vessels that were transiting the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command said on Tuesday it had begun the assault to impose heavy cost for targeting and attacking commercial shipping crewed by innocent individuals in the international waterway. The U.S. official said that the military is targeting air defenses, coastal surveillance sites, surface-to-air missile sites, anti-ship cruise missile sites, drone launch sites and port facilities. Iranian state media said strikes had hit Qushm Island, Bandar Abbas and Sirik, where people have been injured by shrapnel. Also, Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister called the U.S. attacks a violation of the U.S.-Iran memorandum signed last month. Kazem Karibabadi, Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister, insisted Iran would take decisive actions to safeguard its national interest and security. Well, hours after the 3 tankers were struck by the projectiles, the United States revoked a license that authorizing the sale of Iranian oil as part of the interim deal to end the fighting between the U.S. and Iran. Now, Iran's foreign ministry condemned the U.S. Treasury move to revoke the temporary suspension of sanctions on Iranian oil sales. The ministry said that the decision breached the memorandum, holding Washington responsible for the consequences. The ministry also said that Iran would take any measure deemed necessary to safeguard its interest and national security. The revoked waiver listed on the Treasury Department's website said the move was effective immediately. It also said any production, delivery or sale of Iranian oil must be wound down by July 17th. The waiver had originally allowed sales until 21st of August. Well, the top Iraqi and Iranian officials attended an official reception for the coffin of Iran's slain Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei at Najaf Airport on Tuesday evening. The Iraqi side was led by Prime Minister Ali Al-Zaidi and included Foreign Minister Fouad Hossein and Faik Zidane, President of the Supreme Judicial Council. The Iranian delegation included President Masoud Pezeshkian, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, Mustafa Khamenei, son of the late leader, Ghulam Ali Haddad Adel. The coffin was flown to the Shiite holy city of Najaf in neighboring Iraq for further ceremonies. Khamenei is scheduled to be buried on Thursday, July 9th at the Imam Reza Shrine in his birthplace of Mashhad. Well, as we told you earlier, from Indonesia, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Melbourne later today at the invitation of his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese. For more on that, we are joined by our correspondent Amritpal Singh from Melbourne. Well, Amrit, good morning. After Indonesia, Prime Minister Modi heads to Australia for talks with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. Tell us, what is the mood on the ground ahead of Prime Minister Modi's arrival and what are the key outcomes both sides are hoping to achieve from the bilateral talks?
Well, the mood on the ground first, the mood on the ground is that of excitement, both within the Australian government for the bilateral talks that the two principals along with the delegations will engage in, and also the diaspora with which the Prime Minister will be connecting. He generally, whenever he travels abroad, he makes it a point to connect with the diaspora, and this time around it's going to be no different. There's a huge stadium-scaled event planned, so the diaspora understands is excited to see Prime Minister Modi. In 2014, when he had come calling, he had held a similar event in Sydney where diaspora turned out in large numbers. Here also, the diaspora is expected to turn out in large numbers. A stadium called Marvel Stadium, which is a huge stadium, a capacity of about 100,000 people, is where it's organized. So the diaspora members that I spoke to were visibly excited and, to welcome the Prime Minister here. Coming to the substantive part of the visit, the bilateral discussions will cover the entire gamut of bilateral relationships. We could see major announcements in the field of defense and maritime security cooperation in terms of trade and investment, in terms of supply of critical minerals, in terms of global supply chains, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of sports diplomacy. There could be some announcements on sports, of course cricket, but just not limited to cricket. More than that, Indo-Pacific would be in key focus. Essentially, the two sides realize in an unstable and a turbulent environment that we are living in, the two sides need to cooperate to bring in a more inclusive and stable Indo-Pacific. And India sees Australia as the southern anchor of the Indo-Pacific, and given our huge maritime boundary, Australia sees similar benefit in cooperating. So there is a certain amount of the two countries are on the same page when it comes to cooperation, especially in the areas that I just spoke about, Lepakshi.
All right, thank you so much, Amrit, for all those details from Melbourne. And moving on, the Indian Meteorological Department has forecast widespread rainfall across large parts of the country on Wednesday as the southwest monsoon continues to strengthen. Heavy to very heavy rain, thunderstorms and gusty winds are expected in several states, while the monsoon is likely to cover the remaining parts of northwest India over the next few days. The Met Department has issued yellow and orange alert with rainfall across Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Punjab, Haryana, Delhi and parts of Uttar Pradesh during the coming days. Konkan in Goa, Gujarat, Madhya Maharashtra, Kerala and Karnataka are also expected to continue receiving active monsoon rainfall. Heavy showers may lead to localized flooding in low-lying areas, while strong winds could affect travel and outdoor activities in coastal districts. The Weather Department has advised residents in affected states to remain updated with local forecast and follow instructions issued by state authorities, while travelers are advised to check weather conditions before beginning their journeys. Meanwhile, Mumbai returned to normalcy on Tuesday after 2 days of relentless rain that had brought the city to a near standstill, with local train services and road transport resuming regular operations. Well, Yogesh Sheetal joins us from Mumbai for more on the weather situation there. Well, Yogesh, the transport services have resumed and normalcy has resumed across the city. While conditions have improved in Mumbai, the IMD has retained red alerts for several districts in Maharashtra. What is the latest on the weather situation in these vulnerable regions, and what precautions are authorities advising residents to take?
Very good morning, Lipakchi. The rainfall intensity has somehow eased in all the metropolitan region, particularly Mumbai, Thane, Navi Mumbai, Palghar. However, in Palghar particularly, the school and college is still shut today because of the water logging at key areas, particularly in the rural area where BMC schools are primarily located. So connectivity is a concern in Palghar district because yesterday we had seen the red alert was issued for Palghar. Apart from that, coming to other regions like Nashik or Pune, these are basically the Ghat areas which cause a lot of issues in traffic congestion because of the connectivity and the low-lying area and the mountain issues, as well as the heavy amount of rain, because cloud bursting was also reportedly there in Nashik. So basically in these Ghat areas, the people are stuck somewhere. However, the agencies are there like NDRF. Yesterday we had seen the BMC commissioner also held a press conference, and Ashwini Bede basically cleared that how the agencies are working in Mumbai. Similarly, the other civic bodies like in Nashik, Pune or other districts, the civic bodies are collaborating with the central agency like NDRF and also the state agency like SDRF, Fire Brigade or their other agencies. So currently the situation in MMR region is just getting back to normal. Coming to railway traffic, yes, yesterday trains were off track. Some of the 14 trains were cancelled yesterday, but gradually trains are also getting back to track. Some trains are still suspended. They're partially diverted because of the water logging in the area connecting to Mumbai Pune, because the Bhor area which witnessed water that landslide, that caused a bit disturbance in that area. So currently situations are getting back to normalcy.
All right, so situation turning back to normal. Thank you so much, Sheetal, for all that update from Mumbai. Well, moving south in Kerala, one worker was killed and 7 were missing after a landslide struck at an under-construction tunnel project in Wayanad district on Tuesday. A large-scale rescue operation is now underway. According to the officials, the landslide occurred near Meenakshi Bridge at Kaladi, near Meenakshi Bridge, where construction was underway on the tunnel road project connecting Malappuram and Wayanad districts. And still to come on DD India Newshour. Djokovic sets up Wimbledon semi-final showdown with defending champion Jannik Sinner. Jagannath Rath Yatra celebrated in Zurich, bringing India's sacred tradition to Switzerland.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and on to some sports news now. First, updates from FIFA World Cup. Well, the defending champions Argentina are through to the FIFA World Cup quarter-finals after producing a stunning late comeback, with Lionel Messi once again at the heart of the victory. Argentina fought back from 2 goals down to defeat Egypt 3-2 in a dramatic round of 16 clash in Atlanta. After trailing 2-0 with just over 10 minutes remaining, Cristiano Romero pulled one back before Lionel Messi scored the equalizer. Enzo Fernandez then completed the remarkable comeback in stoppage time to send the defending champions into the quarter-finals. Messi also missed a first-half penalty but finished the match with his tournament-leading 8th goal. Well, also, Switzerland have booked their place in the FIFA World Cup quarter-finals after edging Colombia in a dramatic penalty shootout and will now face defending champions Argentina. After a goalless draw through extra time, Switzerland defeated Colombia 4-3 on penalties in Vancouver to reach the World Cup quarter-finals for the first time since 1954. Goalkeeper Gregor Kobel made the decisive save before Ruben Vargas converted the winning spot kick, setting up a last-8 clash with Lionel Messi's Argentina. And for more on FIFA, we are joined by Narayan Singh from New Delhi. Well, Narayan, Argentina's dramatic comeback from 2 goals down once again highlighted the team's resilience under pressure. Beyond Lionel Messi's brilliance, what does this performance reveal about Argentina's mentality and their credentials as defending champions?
Lipakshi, if we talk about this match, one of the greatest comeback in the footballing history, and we know that they were leading, the Egyptian team was leading 2-0 and only around 12 minutes were left on the clock, but the kind of comeback Argentina made and a goal by the Romario in the 79th minute changed everything, and it shows that the big teams, great teams, the experience comes into play, and it also points out towards the fragility of the teams coming from the African continent. If you take a look in the previous matches where we saw Senegal were leading against in a crucial match against Belgium 2-0 and 4 minutes were left, and in the space of 4 minutes we saw Belgium making a bounce back and scoring 2 goals within that span. It was, we can say that they need to work on their mental aspects of the game, because we know that in the crucial situation in the stages like the World Cup where pressure is a very big thing, I think they could not control those emotions. Means they were thinking that they have already there in the quarterfinals and beating a team like one of the soccer powerhouse like Argentina. I think that we can say hit them back, and because of that they lost the match. But all in all, the tactics of their coach Lionel Scaloni, also kudos to him, the changes he made. He brought fresh leg towards the end of the second half, and we saw Martinez, the way he just gave a pass in the injury time, definitely kudos, and Ando Fernandez scored it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Narayan, for all that analysis. And moving on to Wimbledon, the Wimbledon semi-finals are taking shape with Novak Djokovic and Jannik Sinner setting up a blockbuster clash after advancing through contrasting quarter-final victories. Novak Djokovic battled past Felix Auger-Aliassime in a 5-set marathon lasting more than 5 hours to book a place in his 8th straight Wimbledon semi-final. He'll now face defending champion Jannik Sinner, who defeated Germany's Dan-Lennard Struff in straight sets. In the women's draw, Karolina Muchova advanced to the semi-finals and will take on Coco Gauff, while Alexander Zverev also secured a place in the men's quarter-finals. Well, the spirit of the Jagannath Rath Yatra travelled far beyond India this week as hundreds of devotees gathered in Zurich to celebrate one of Hinduism's most revered festivals. Our correspondent Nidhi brings us this report from Switzerland.
The Jagannath Rath Yatra in Puri, Orissa is one of the biggest Indian celebrations that happens each year. Over 1 million people join the celebrations in the coastal town. And now this is being celebrated in San Francisco to Tokyo, from Oslo to Durban, and now in Zurich, Switzerland since 1978. I would have never imagined that on a normal weekend, I would see crowds of devotees gathering and pulling the chariot of Lord Jagannath and chanting the holy name and dancing.
I have been part of Rath Yatra since, well, around 30 years, I would say, long time. And it has become like a tradition here in Zurich. It's always the same route along Lake of Zurich, starting from China Garden and ending at Bürkliplatz. And after the procession, which takes around 3 hours, then there will be a festival, an Indian festival, you can say, at the Berkeley Platz with a stage, with a short lecture about Rath Yatra, an explanation, and then some kirtan, singing, and also some dancing usually.
I am here because I like this festival. I like the temple, Krishna temple, and I like Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra.
I was just passing by with my friend, and then we saw this music, and it gave such nice vibe.
Locals were drawn to the procession as volunteers distributed prasad and drinks. The procession ended outside the Swiss National Bank building with an aarti and address by the ambassador of India to Switzerland.
The first Rath Yatra, the first chariot. So Jagannath came about from the word Jagannath. And when the early Europeans saw this huge procession of magnificent wooden chariots in the city of Puri, they were very amazed. And they saw it as an unstoppable force. And that's how the word Jagannath came into being in the English lexicon.
ISKCON temple in Zurich has been doing it all through the work of their volunteers and devotees. It's an extraordinary event because it brings about people of all faiths together in celebration of Lord Jagannath.
The influence of Indian spirituality and wisdom were felt on the banks of Lake Zurich as Swiss people joined in mantra music and dancing. This is Nidhi reporting for DD India from Zurich, Switzerland.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Newshour. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from Al Fasair in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Newshour.